560-5589, 560 KKTX. Chief Simpson in the box. Good morning,
Good morning, sir. Good morning to you.
Anything you want to bring up before I get on to...
No, go ahead. I think actually those are topics I wanted to cover because we've got something coming up.
All right. This is an email from a listener who is a prolific emailer.
Yes.
All right. Lago email. Unbeknownst to me, I attended one of the churches that I thought was taking the gospel message to the streets of Corpus Christi. From previous visits a couple of months ago, this taking it to the streets ministry seemed like a good idea. After I gave an offering, I put the pieces together. Today, I learned that this was one of the churches that has been in the news and a sore subject for the police chief. Congregants are encouraged to come to City Hall at 5:30 Saturdays and help pass out food and bring non-perishable items like canned drinks and bottled water. After the service, I approached the local congregation's pastor and asked him, how about a ministry called Taking It Off the Streets? It's been on the radio and local news TV that every Monday after the weekend of feeding people at City Hall, there's a big mess that has to be cleaned up. Pastor appeared genuinely surprised and admitted, I haven't heard about that. I believe him. All phone listings go to a central office, so you can't leave a message or say, hey, we should be doing certain other things. He continues, I continued with this young pastor. I don't think giving money to the church and then turning around and paying taxes to have the mess cleaned up is a good idea. I was then assured that I should keep giving to the church, that the money was put to good use, and I do believe that it is, except in this instance where a mess is created, perhaps after everyone leaves. Well, now you know.
Yes, and I would say that the mess is very important. Maybe it's 1B. 1A is I think that the homeless community actually deserves better. Than feeding on the streets like you would do, frankly, stray animals. There are actually shelters that are saying, hey, churches, we want you to utilize our facilities, allow people to come in, sit down, have a meal, and then maybe get some more information either about your church, okay, or how to get out of their situation if they're willing to do that. And
that would mean sharing the glory.
And it would mean a coordinated effort because, one church will do one Sunday, another church another Sunday, and it would certainly be better for the community.
It would be better for the community,
the trash.
But then you have to, it's usually some sort of ministry program, right?
Correct.
Well, no, ministries don't like to share.
Yeah. Well, you said that.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. But to me...
that could be the only reason.
Yeah, to me...
Somebody else will get credit. So, like God can figure it all out and figure out, you're doing that with a bad heart.
Yeah, and
no credit here.
Susan and I and the rest of the team that's working on this issue, trying to come to some understanding. And we get this, you're the Antichrist, you're a bad guy, we're a giving community. Nobody wants that to stop. But we just need to do it in a different way that's going to be beneficial for people who actually want to do business in our town. And frankly, business, in my mind, is not a dirty word. Mm-hmm. And so there's nothing wrong with trying to make and do it better.
I didn't get back Saturday in order to make my weekly pass at City Hall.
Yeah.
I didn't get back till about 7:15, 7:20.
Yeah. I'm going to have Mike Alaniz send you some pictures, and maybe you can post them.
That would be a great idea.
Yeah,
because Pamela said, why didn't you post them? I said, well, the first time I went down there and I saw that, I was just aghast.
Sure.
And I didn't think about it. The second time, I didn't have my phone with me. For some reason, I'm not that... I never remember that my phone has a camera in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just doesn't occur to me for some reason.
You use it for talking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But these photos, you may have to put a, view at
warning?
your own risk. Yeah. I mean, it's feces, it's urine, it's underwear, it's anything that you can imagine. And then it's spread on the walls of City Hall. There's trash all over the place. There's dope. There's anything you can imagine left on City Hall. And then it has to be cleaned up. I mean, so that's 1B. Okay, so that'll happen. 1A is I just think that community deserves better. I don't want to get into semantics with word problems, but when you talk about deserves, I just don't. I hear you. I got a problem with. Yeah, if you're going to do it better.
Yeah.
Okay. I hear you.
Because we need to get back to. This is life. Mm-hmm. You work for stuff, and as diligently and as frequently as you can. Mm-hmm. And if you abide by these simple principles, generally, good things happen to you if you don't jack around when you're not supposed to be working.
Yeah. So those photos are in your box right now.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There's also, this is from Friday's Caller Times. And I talked to a guy from San Antonio who's in city government, and he says the example that we're using for these sobriety centers is not really giving you the full picture because the guy who donated the money for it is kind of, if he knew how much it was going to cost him, he never would have said yes.
Dove into it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have been using creative ways to maintain the building. And it's getting rather expensive.
No, this is the sobriety center.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, this was in the Caller Times on Friday the 15th. It was at the right below the fold under the editorial. Delinquent tax account bears further inquiry, and I'll do that. But first, I've got to take care of some important business. News Radio 1360 KKTX. City Councilman Mark Scott in the box with the police chief, Floyd Simpson.
Hey,
yes.
Just real quick. So we're at this golf tournament in Knoxville, and an Aggie won. In fact, an Aggie came in second. So there's thousands of people walking. And Carol and I, and we're not true Aggies, but we feel like we represented. So he's walking by. We're going, whoop, whoop. People are looking at us like, I have no idea. Well, you guys okay? You've had a lot of alcohol. Does that mean anything to us? Huh? We represented.
Yeah, that's good.
That's it.
I have no friends in Knoxville now because they think I'm all weird. But
I do the same thing. In fact, I
leave
did
it to the Aggies to whoop up on them.
Saturday at the River Walk. Let me ask you something. I had to. I went to San Antonio. There was some kind of tree growers, plant lovers, all the industry was at the convention center.
Okay.
Texas nurserymen.
Oh, okay.
And all their product.
Actually, not a bad place.
So huge. Spent 3 hours there and never said, honey, let's go once.
Like it.
All right. And someone said, well, you can go have fun on the river walk. Explain to me how you do that. It's like, I don't know.
Hold hands.
900 degrees.
Yeah. No wind.
You can't hold hands because there's a mishmash of people. Now, you can eat.
Yeah. And you can have a drink, which a lot of people do.
Yeah. Do you just sit there and drink and people watch? Mm-hmm. Is that it? Okay, that's part of it. That's part of I can't
the night the lights
participate.
Light up.
with it anymore because
Right.
I
you get half of it, but you're not allowed to do the second half.
Yeah. But,
so now that's your problem. You're 50% of this.
You walk around going, oh, gosh, we should have eaten here.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Or you keep walking and then you realize, God, I've walked so far now, I'm just too tired to even eat.
Absolutely. The hottest place.
Right.
Aside from a storage shed.
It kind of reminds you. Yeah, this time of year.
All right. This is from the Friday Caller Times. Cities looking into homeless issue is no small challenge. After putting in a state-of-the-art homeless shelter near downtown 6th Street in Austin, which, by the way, costs not hundreds but millions of dollars, the experiment has failed. If you drive by, you will see a very nice new building littered with trash everywhere, 50 to 150 zombie-like people loitering around, and the stench and the area begging and chasing after tourists. Since this failure was put up, crime has gone up on, number one, homeless on homeless. Number two, homeless on patrons of downtown. It is the biggest eyesore in all of downtown, and a lot of homeless show up drunk and disorderly, and they are not allowed in, so they take their anger out elsewhere. I have been a victim and ruined a great evening with my family when a man came up to us and said we should give him money, and every year we get more of these people from all over the United States. If you really want to know just how this place is a cancer to Austin, don't take my word for it. Get in touch with the chief of police, Art Acevedo, and bring a pen and paper with you.
Yeah, I need to call Art. Actually, he and I are friends. I didn't read that in the newspaper, but certainly it's something we need to consider. Yeah, so we're fact-finding. We're not saying we're going all in for it. We do know that there are some cities that report that it's been working for them.
Right. But
yeah, and so I don't know if it's the way they were structured. I don't know if it's the management of the facility or whatever it is. And I have to tell you, I wholeheartedly admit to you, Jim, I need to free my guys up. So I want a place to drop them off, and that's kind of my motivation. But nothing's a done deal. We're talking about it.
Well, I've talked to other people who were downtown that said more homeless are showing up. And I don't know if it's a seasonal thing, but it seems to me that we get an increase at various times in the year. I don't know if they're just the touristy kind of homeless who come for...
And we're looking for solutions. This problem is not getting better. And if we're going to have a vibrant downtown, and if we're going to continue on our trend of attracting commerce here, we're going to have to do something about this issue. And it's more than just ignoring it and doing things the same way. And so something's going to have to happen.
We liken this into they need better handling than just putting a bowl down and letting them eat out of the bowl like we're feeding a stray animal. Mm-hmm. But we have ordinances in place to stop us from doing that very thing. Mm-hmm. You make it a problem. And it's not only a problem with the animals, but people become more dependent more quickly than animals do.
Yeah,
and they complain louder.
And that's our point. If you make them do something, if you cause them to have to, if you do this, then you get a sandwich. It's not just because you're homeless and I feel sorry for you, and all you got to do is show up here and I'm going to give you something, and then you can do whatever you want. They ought to have to go through something in order to get something.
It's just difficult to look at something that is going to require quite a bit of money. I understand where you're coming from with freeing up your officers. It just seems to me that these people just test the limits of patience
Sure.
when they do the same thing over and over and over again. But then, hey, they don't have anything else to do.
Exactly. And that it's just it's getting worse. It's a problem that's getting worse, and I don't know if people are saying we'll show you guys, and they're starting to feed more. Are you talking about stopping this?
I think it's more on the homeless. We'll show you guys.
Yeah,
I'll show you.
Sure. Yeah, it's my right to do that.
Sure.
How about other people's rights that I don't have to look at that?
We don't have any rights. You don't have any rights until you're destitute, losing, and defecating on steps, and a police officer decides
it's a public building.
Going to jail.
It's a public building. I can do whatever I want to.
Then you have you make everybody aware of your rights. News Radio 1360 KKTX. Corpus Christi Police Chief Floyd Simpson in the box with City Councilman Mark Scott, and Bobby is on the KKTX hotline. Good morning, Bobby. Welcome to Lago in the morning.
Morning, Jim. How you doing this morning?
Good.
Jim, I don't think we have a problem with the homeless. I think the homeless have a problem with the choices they make. By the time we're going to start issuing out new bonds, to build a center for them, it's like that's the choices that they make. As far as our rights being taken away, more and more freedoms are being taken away. Look what's happening in Ferguson.
Yeah,
it won't be too long before there's anybody can walk in your house and steal whatever they want to steal, and you can't shoot them more than once.
Well, that whole thing at Ferguson is leading people to believe that it's okay for things to get out of hand every once in a while.
Yeah, you'll be forgiven it. You should have seen the police chief last night that made a speech to the family. He's pretty much condoning it.
Yeah.
In a roundabout way. All he did was say, my kid has tattoos, my kid wears baggy pants, and that's my child, and what? It's all right.
Yeah, I think that was the Missouri State Police captain you're talking about. He's running that town. But let me. So Monday morning at our staff meetings, probably the same thing. Probably virtually every police department. Okay, probably every police department in the country had this staff meeting, and they talk about this issue and what we can do and what we can't do. One of our points of discussion was, I think this thing is a crescendo, and there's been horrible community relations up to this point. And so, when you look at lack of diversity in the community, you look at the population, you look at all the things that probably had gone wrong prior to this. I mean, that, and then it gets this national spotlight, and then people who are not even from that community start flocking there, wanting to make their point or, get their 10 minutes of fame or take a shot at the police. It's just a recipe for disaster. And then you start talking about it on the national stage politically. The president chimes in. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take to get that thing back in order.
I don't either, but sending the National Guard in and then pulling them out.
Yeah, you're escalating it, and as you and I talked, the issue is to diffuse and de-escalate. Kind of, there's nothing here to see, everybody move along, that sort of thing.
How do you get there from where they are now?
I think you stop to a point. I think that you stop pushing the issue. I mean, the more force you display, I think the more pushback you're going to get and the more criticism.
That's
so now you're chasing your tail.
Okay, but that sounds kind of like the idea of, okay, if they're going to run from us, we're not going to chase them. And it took me a long time to, get right with that.
Sure.
It seems to me that if you're not going to have people standing up for the law, then you're going to have more lawlessness.
Sure. I think the first and foremost, you've got to get control of that situation so that you can start enforcing the law.
Well, when you've got everyone who is second-guessing you,
yes,
getting television time, yes, to spout their nut-watery, or even if the accusations are correct. Mm-hmm. I don't know about the. I have only read about the diversity issues. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you have a police department that only has 3 African Americans on it, and that not be something that the Justice Department goes, you know what, these numbers are out of whack.
You can rest assured they will be there now.
Corpus Christi wasn't anything, but it makes you wonder, does it not? How many people applied and were turned down?
Sure.
I mean, I know for a fact there have been guys in this city decide one day that they're going to be a policeman.
Yep.
And they've got a felony drug conviction.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, but they won't let you be a police officer.
Yes.
Now, in cities where they have lowered the standards, and I'm talking about New Orleans, Louisiana, what happened after they lowered the standards to get more diverse police force?
Well,
it was absolutely the most corrupt police force in the United States.
That, and you didn't have commitment. I mean, when crap hit the fan in Katrina, they ran off in droves. You know, they didn't stay behind to protect that community, and then they had the gall to apply to other departments. And there was this list that Warren Riley, who was the chief, you know, they had one chief and they transitioned. There was a list that he developed of deserters.
The people,
and so if you had a applicant from New Orleans, even if it was a legitimate applicant, the first thing you did was call there and say, "Hey, is he on your list?" And if he was, then
the list circulated.
Sure,
I saw it.
Yeah,
it was like I don't know. There were like 300 and some odd names on there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely,
386. I went, holy mackerel!
Yeah, and these guys actually had the nerve to go and apply to other.
And most of them got jobs in Houston.
They tried to get them in Dallas when I was running that personnel process up there, and I'm sure. Some came here. Yeah, I'm sure some came here.
Oh, yeah. They did.
And got turned away. So that's a weird deal. But, yeah, I'm glad I'm in Corpus Christi and not in anywhere near St. Louis and Ferguson, Missouri.
Me too, but I go to I go to places like the conversations. And it's more than a conversation. It's finger pointing and loud talking. And, rules don't apply to me. I get to talk for more than 3 minutes if I want to. And I see conversations about a hospital turn pretty nasty. And I think, how long before we're sitting here doing the same kind of stuff? Do you think that could very well develop? I mean, we've had opportunities to do that in the past at a housing complex.
Sure, there's always the possibility, but I don't feel that here. And I've been out and about a lot in my 2.5 years here. I don't feel that. And people go, well, how do you? Well, I spent a long time in Dallas, and I felt that. Mm-hmm. And so it's one of those things that you just feel, and it's a tension that at any moment something can happen. And I think I told you last week, we have a police-involved shooting in Dallas, and one of the first things that's asked is, okay, so what's the race of the officer? What's the race of the person that was shot?
And that shouldn't
and that's a valid concern, because I just showed you guys an article in the morning news, Dallas Morning News this morning. They decided to have a community meeting around this issue in Ferguson, and the line is, we're not Ferguson, Missouri. Well, I mean, I think that's obvious. You're not, but the tensions are always so high there. You've got that 14-1 council makeup, like I talked about, 14 individual single districts. The only person elected at large is the mayor. And they are dogmatic about their particular districts. And incidentally, those districts are made up along racial lines. And so,
how does that happen, though?
Well, they just make it happen.
It's
they
sort of the gentrification, isn't it? They don't draw those every time. I mean, people are doing better in their lives and they move.
Yeah, but there's historical places that are historically Hispanic, historically African American, and you should see the lines. They don't make any sense, and they're drawn up for the purpose of the election. Sure,
for election.
Sure,
and all it does is allow people to hide from each other.
Yeah, and there's no inhibitions about talking about it that way. There's nothing up my sleeve. I'm telling you what I'm doing, and that's I'm drawing this district so that I can get a representative that's African American.
Mm-hmm.
So it's polarizing, and it's just a difficult environment to operate in. And I can tell you, when I came here, I felt none of that. Yeah, I don't feel racial tension here. I don't feel like it's going to burst at any moment. I guess it could. I mean, I don't feel that.
I don't see that at get-togethers, and I'm not talking about my house. I'm talking about whether it's a fundraiser or a meeting, or except for this spot thing that got kind of testy.
Yeah.
Some of the street town hall meetings were pretty testy. I've seen Congressman Farenthold get, or they try to hammer him, usually with untruths.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that similar.
That's the way they roll with the untruths, man.
Attitude with people at like Whataburger Field.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a public gathering, so everybody thinks civility would be, but we can't be the only city taking that.
Sure,
because there's none going on in Ferguson now, or the people that do that, and there have been several videos of private citizens saying, look, this is wrong.
Sure.
Stop doing this.
Yeah.
And there have been some there was one gentleman who was saying, I've got a problem with Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton coming down here and talking about this like they know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson know the African-American men of the old generation. They have nothing in common with us, and they ought to take their stuff and go back to where they came from and let us get control of this situation, because I have to live here.
Yep.
And this is where I am from. This is where I choose to raise my family, and I don't need outside interference when it comes to telling me what to do.
So how do they get invited in, or do they just show up?
They just show up.
Okay.
All right. I've got an email about the Citizens Police Academy.
Yes.
From Trina. And we'll talk about that coming up. Plus, Bill, I'll get to his phone call in just a second. News Radio 1360 KKTX. Police Chief Floyd Simpson in the box. Let me get to Bill, who's been waiting patiently here. Bill, good morning. Welcome to Lago in the Morning.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
It's been an awesome show. This was going to tell you, I haven't heard it yet, but on ABC News tonight, they're going to talk about affordable vacations, and at the end of the broadcast, they're going to mention kind of like Corpus Christi as part of the beach location. Yeah. So somebody that was interviewed let me know that they're going to be on tonight.
Nice.
Is that at the 5 o'clock or the 5:30 report, or the later news?
It's the national news. It's going to be the ABC National News.
All right, cool.
And another question. On the red light cameras, is there any way to speak your mind on the red light cameras? There's a $50 administrative fee just to try to explain a situation.
Yeah.
If found liable.
Yeah, and you're not the only one that's told me that. That
was me.
Yeah, some administrative. I think somebody sent me an email.
That was me.
Okay. Yeah, and I think I sent that to one of my guys to check that out. If that's the case, I don't know why that is, but we'll try to figure that out.
Yeah, I haven't heard back from anyone on that, but I appreciate it.
Probably because they don't have an answer yet. It's a tough question. It requires us to look back and see how all of that was formulated.
Yes, okay. Well, I really appreciate it, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Lago email. You recommended the Citizens Police Academy. I just graduated from the 42nd class. The entire experience was so worthwhile and memorable. Thank you for talking about it on your show. I met the most interesting people. I sent you a photograph of the mounted patrol. The mounted police brought their horses to the monthly CPA alumni meeting, and I enjoyed meeting the police officers and their horses. The 43rd Citizen Police Academy starts September the 10th, and I highly recommend the program. Thank you for recommending the program, and thanks for inviting Chief Simpson on. The Mounted Patrol adds great value to the police department, and the citizens who come in contact with them ask the officer named Chris to share the story of the blind girl with cancer who explored his horse with her hands. He got choked up telling the story while describing her big smile while she touched his horse. Regards, Trina.
Wow. Very nice. And yes, we'll have our next session beginning September 10th. They're generally on Wednesday nights. They'll run from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. And we've been doing this now for about, I think, 26 years. It started in 1988. And so it's an 11-week program, and it's a great way to look inside the PD and, find out the things that we do. And more importantly, why we do it the way that we do. So you come out with a great understanding of the department. So really good program that's been strong here in our city for a long, long time.
Gives you an opportunity to, if you don't know any of your police officers, gives you an opportunity to meet some of them. A very diverse bunch, and some... especially the homegrown product. That's nothing away from the guys who have moved here, like Tim Wilson.
Yep.
Who
I saw him. He retired, Tim Wilson. He looks like a different man.
Does he?
Oh, man, he's relaxed and just enjoying life. I think he spends a lot of time in Fort Worth with his daughter. So.
Well,
yeah.
He was he was a fun guy to know.
From New York. Yeah. From New York.
The 43rd class starts September the 10th, and if you've got the time, and if you don't, make time.
Yeah, please come up.
Because it's really a worthwhile organization.
Yes, and many of those go on to be volunteers for our department. So, yeah, good thing.
I can't remember if I graduated from the 9th or 10th class. I think it was the 9th. That was a long. If they're starting the 43rd, it's been a while ago.
Yeah.
Henry was police chief.
Oh, wow.
Hooper was on the training cadre.
Yeah.
Along with Randy Walker. Yeah.
Nice.
I saw Walker, I don't know, a year ago. He's got a big red beard now. I almost didn't recognize him. And it was absolutely a fun experience.
Yeah.
I think Longoria was at the Boys and Girls Club then.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure he was on city council yet.
He was not. When he was in the Boys and Girls Club, I don't think he was on. That may have been when he ran for county judge. Remember, he ran for county judge.
That was the last, it was in between that and I think it was the time he left the Boys and Girls Club and before he got on council. Mm-hmm. I think there was about a year and a half that he wasn't really busy doing something. But that was a wonderful thing. All right. Anything?
No, I think I was just reading an email I got here. We're talking about New Orleans. Again, be happy you're in Corpus Christi. So their police department is down 400 police officers. And here recently, their superintendent just stepped down.
Because...
Just kind of a mess. I mean, the DOJ he's not running the department. The Justice Department's running it. And it's just not a good place.
And the continuing violence goes on in Ferguson, partly due to outside troublemakers from Oakland, California, and New York City.
Yep. It's weird. Yeah.
You see that guy come out of the crowd and just start firing that handgun?
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Chief, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mark. Have yourself a Bluebell Country Day.